Hello, my name is Tim Bernard, and this is Beyond the Headlines, where we may take a much deeper look into what is going on in our world around us. We have a huge show. It's been a while because I've just been busy working, but I do always update my website. There's probably 50 or more new articles every week going up throughout the week, so I'd urge you to check that out. Not to mention the hundreds of hours of free videos, documentaries, and links to many other people's sites here and around the world. We are not the bought-off press. Those guys just read their scripts and they're paid handsomely. They're nothing but propaganda ministers. All of the mainstream news, and it's such baloney. If you know what's going on and are awake at all. And here's just one small example. Here's Fox News posting a fake Baltimore riot photo that is actually from Venezuela. Here's a great feel-good story. This Tanjik Abraham graduated from college at 11. So there is a lot of hope in our society if we would wake up, if we would come to God, if we would just remember that 2 plus 2 is 4, not what the propaganda ministers on the right and the left are trying to sell us and divide us. And we are the resistance. V for victory from the Vietnam War, from the French partisans. It was just Memorial Day yesterday. And there's an excellent documentary. If you haven't seen it, it has been featured and I've shown it. It's called All Wars Are Bankers' Wars. Follow the money. And it doesn't get any more plain than what's been going on, that the money changers rule the world right now and are taking over and setting up their system. And those who forget the past are doomed to repeat it. You should read some of the Founding Fathers' quotes on bankers and money. And I have a permanent link to this. This is the first global revolution. This is by the Club of Rome, put out about 40 years ago, where they talk about using climate issues for to help drive their agenda. It's not that they give a damn about the world. It's a world that they're destroying, and they've got their underground bases. Remember, I've done stories. Switzerland has enough room in their underground capacity for the whole country. Of course, it's not like that around here. The world's been divided up into 10, and these are the FEMA districts, the sub-districts. So we are coming to you from Global District 1, FEMA District 10. Look it up for yourself. Our Lord sees what's going on. In the end, they will win. They will reign. We are coming up on a long period of peace. But between here and there is unbelievable bloodshed. And anybody who tells you that this isn't coming is absolutely clueless at best. Or they're just afraid, or they're liars. Because, as you'll see shortly, the writing, my friends, is on the wall. This is a church-approved apparition from 400 years ago, Our Lady of Good Success, where she lays out and pinpoints the 20th century. And that's only one of many prophecies coming down through the centuries, pointing to the end of the 20th century as this hellhole that we are living in. And one of the things that she says is that things will be much worse because those who should have spoken out will fall silent. And she's talking about our leaders, especially religious leaders. Because no one talks about this. This was from 99. The 4 angels have been sent to the 4 corners of the earth. This is Father Zudak receiving this, and this has been checked out by the Vatican. But do your own research on it. He now has the full stigmata along with this cross on his forehead. And to understand the book of Revelation, One of the keys to opening it up is Alpha and Omega, first and last. That's how it's laid out. That's how it works. Here's where they openly say it'll just be a couple months and there'll be a Bohemian Grove over there doing a mock sacrifice of a child. Again, they do it at the end of July every year. Look it up. There's plenty of information about that and video of their sacrifice. And every Republican president in the 20th century has been there. That's right. And many Democrats. Of course, the Democrats like the real abortion, which is nothing more than sacrificing a child on the altar of lust and convenience. This is the Georgia Guidestones where they openly talk about, this is the new 10 Commandments. I've physically been there right outside of Georgia, where they talk about maintaining a population on the earth of 500 million. That's 90% got to go. And of course, none of these great liberals talk about, here's Margaret Sanger, this is the founder of Planned Parenthood. We don't want the word to get out that we want to exterminate the Negro population. There she is with her buddies at the Ku Klux Klan rally. Just do a little research on this or try to wake up your friends about this. These are some people at a Planned Parenthood in Texas. I don't have time to play some of the people who came out to protest them because they really care about the disproportionate amount of blacks, children. The most dangerous place for a black child is in the womb. Eugenics, the slide that I showed you before, is on. Where do you hear Oprah and all these other great liberals, black or white, really trying to save the innocent black lives? And not to mention the social engineering that has destroyed the black family, and they're moving over into ours. Here we go, aborted baby organ program called Frankenscience. This is where they're going to take organs from aborted babies, grow them, and then give them away to people. Oh yeah, there's such a whooping coming from God about all of this. But of course, and they're trying to get a clash of civilizations, not only black and white, but divide us all up so that we all fight amongst each other and never really go after the money changers who sit on top. And this is some Muslims protesting outside a church saying the cross is challenging Islam. We need to stand up for our rights here in America. This is in America this is going on. Check it out. I mean, it's everywhere. And of course, there's so many, and this was the prophecies about the fallen clergy. And here's a Catholic bishop. Homosexuality is fine. Some of the apostles may have been gay. I mean, give me a break. Not to mention, it says in the Bible that in the last times, and this isn't the end of the world, it's the end of the age. So if you're expecting the world to end, you've got a long, long wait. And we know that because many things in scriptures have not been fulfilled. And here we go. Swiss priest who performed a same-sex wedding reinstated after public outcry. There's more than likely a split coming in the church, unfortunately, over this. And you shouldn't think that the elite give a damn about the gay people. They're just simply using them to divide us up and to divide us from God. That's what the reality is. I really hate to tell you folks that, for those of you who don't know that, because they do not care at all. And here's a Georgia teacher who's letting some of his kids have sex in the classroom in a little closet. It was, I mean, we live in La La Land here. There's a priest who ran a meth ring, sentenced to 5 years. Oh boy. Parents furious over school's plan to teach gender spectrum fluidity. This is all an orchestrated plan to try, and even with all of this going on, from the chemicals and the indoctrination, I mean, we do stories every time about this because it's just overwhelming. And little kids. I mean, it's been down into kindergarten. That's crazy. But it's still such a small segment of society. And the bulk of the sin is done by heterosexuals. Just because you're having sex with someone of the opposite sex, at least, that doesn't mean it's right. It has to be within marriage, and even sex within marriage, if it's taken to extreme, can be a sin. And look at this. They're getting these ROTC guys to dress up in high heels to have an awareness of this sexual assault against women. This is down in Temple, in Arizona. I mean, look at this. This is crazy. I mean, making these guys. Where do we come up with this stuff? This is insane. Ireland, going down the tubes, they just voted in legalized gay marriage. We're going to get such a whooping. This is the Holy Year of Mercy, and this is the logo for it, sort of an interesting logo there. You can check that out, because the one thing I definitely agree with is we need mercy. I ask for it every day. It's like our mother said, if we would simply ask for peace, we would get it. But of course, not that many people are really asking for help. A great man died recently, this Father Gruner. He really supported in his life and his ministry for 50 years the Fatima revelations, which, as Pope Benedict said, is about to be even more fulfilled with the whole stuff about the third secret, which has gone out. There's so much stuff on that. We could easily do a whole show just on Fatima and stuff. I have tons of information on that, which you can look up. And these are the three children, and it's interesting. This is how God uses children, and of course, it was the greatest miracle in the 20th century was the miracle of the Son, announced in advance by a little shepherd girl to lead us. And Jesus warned the clergy in 1931. This was from almost 100 years ago, so that's a huge, and I've done stuff about that. There's a special alignment of the Sun coming in 2 years on the anniversary, the 100th anniversary of Fatima. Believe me, this isn't happening by accident. We are in for some turbulent times, my friend. Very turbulent. But rest in peace, Father. You get to sit out the real war, but you were a trooper in your life, Father. And I was blessed to meet him once a few years ago at a conference that he put on. Really in love with our mother, in love with our Lord, and really an obedient servant to them, and more than really, quite frankly, probably anyone else promoting the story of Fatima. This is Archbishop Corleone down in San Francisco. This is a great shot. Notice the dove, like the Holy Spirit coming down. He's getting a lot of flack down there in Frisco because he's not rolling over to the gay agenda. And this is just some of the insanity. The Catholic Church being sued for not letting a boy use a girl's bathroom. I mean, this is crazy, crazy stuff. But we're coming up on the feast of the Corpus Christi. And remember, as far as prophecy goes, it's the Mass is what they are after. This is the adoration, thanksgiving, atonement, and petition, which is all part of the great Mass, the offering up, as Jesus said, obedience. And remember, we fell by disobeying God and by eating the forbidden fruit. The Israelites, I mean, and it goes throughout then, whether it's Melchizedek and Abraham, the bread and the wine, and then we have the manna from heaven, and then we have the Paschal lamb being eaten on Passover. And believe me, the angel of death, the final part of this purification that we're going through will be the 3 days of darkness. And the angel of death, because the guy who killed all the firstborn in Egypt, that angel, he's still living. And he's coming back for a second round here very, very soon. In this century and probably this half of the century. But it's not going to happen tomorrow. Many people, I just keep saying, be patient. We're going to see, before this decade is out, I would be surprised if we didn't begin to see death tolls from events approaching or into the millions. But we are going to see hundreds of millions, events that will kill hundreds of millions of people in the coming decades. But, and the true Antichrist, if I would predict, is still probably a couple of decades or so away from fully, but we show you all the time the RFID and stuff going on. But anyway, if you don't understand the Mass, and the Mass will be outlawed. That's another prophecy, that's Catholic prophecy, that's the sacrifice from the 12th chapter of Daniel that's spoken of, the daily sacrifice for 3.5 years. The Mass will be outlawed and go underground pretty much everywhere. And here are a couple of people during the sacrifice. I happened to be in Medjugorje last year, and the whole town is streaming through. I've got some beautiful footage of that, this long procession with thousands of people through a little village, honoring and worshiping our Lord. And what's coming, also this is the prophecy, is the Eucharistic reign of our Lord. After, as I say, after it's rejected and we are purified. This is a Nigerian bishop who says Christ showed him how to beat the Islamic terror group through praying the rosary. The rosary is one of the most powerful weapons there is. There's stories on it, like I say, on my website. If I didn't have so much to go through, we could do so much on that. But as you know, I always end my show with prayer and fasting can change the world. And for those of us who are Catholics, the rosary is one of the most powerful prayers. The most powerful prayer is the Mass. The Mass is a prayer. And that's the number one prayer there is. I mean, a lot of times it's even hard to get people to say the Lord's Prayer. You know, it's like, I don't know. But here's, we had an article about this Soviet spy claiming that the KGB created liberation theology. Now, some people have come back and refuted that, but there is a lot going on here to show that the KGB infiltrated the church, Alta Vita. I've got tons of stuff on my religious website if you'd like to read some of the documents. There's also AA 1025, Anti-Apostle 1025, 1025. That's a great story, a great short little book where they talk about how to bring down the church. Because we're in the prophecy that we've been foretold about. I've gone into this many times, and it's on my website and stuff, about Pope Leo XIII and God and the devil make a pact for 100 years to go after the church. And so, anyway, do some research on it. I mean, because I find that a lot of people, a lot of even priests, don't know about this anymore. They don't know anything about this prayer to the Archangel Michael. And like I said in the beginning, those who forget the past are doomed to repeat it. Learn. We've been warned. This is one of the most biggest crimes. I've got a great documentary on my website about Saul Alinsky out of Chicago organizing, and that's why, and his influence went into Notre Dame. That's why Obama went there. It was so disgusting at the beginning of his presidency that he was allowed in there, and it's just a complete disgrace. And I pray for the leaders within the church who are bringing it down. Woe unto you. And there are many prophecies. Just because you're a bishop or a cardinal or a priest, you have been exalted among men. And you will be held to a higher account. And woe unto you who are misleading the flock. And these guys are getting into this climate change baloney. I've written one letter. I'm waiting for the encyclical to come out, and then I'll respond to it. I'll see what it actually says. But there are some serious people that are, at best, completely misguided about climate change. Here's something on the polar bear stuff. Take a look at the polar bear populations, the historical ones. They're at all-time highs. But hey, all they have to do is say that they're going down. And look at this, okay? Here's a satellite map of, this is from, what, 95, over there. And this is this year, May 5th. So, you know, like just a few weeks ago. I mean, come on. This is not rocket science. But hey, they know most people don't care. Most people don't have the courage to admit they've made a mistake. And, you know, it's we've been indoctrinated, we'll get into that, to lose our free will. This is a scientific technological elite, just like Eisenhower said. I mean, these guys think about this all day long. And this is a volcano going on. How much greenhouse gases is this putting up? And we need to remember that there are like 40 active volcanoes right now in the world. 34 of them are on the rim of fire. Things are heating up here. Things are about to get crazy. And remember, just from historical times, that one in Iceland is going to be, there's a huge one, could go any day, historically, because it goes off right after the little one goes off. That's like right next to it. It's like a couple of them. There's a little one and a big one. The little one goes off first. This has been documented going back thousands of years, about every 150 years or so. And the last time, or somewhere in the 1800s, and that was the little one that went off about 5 years ago. And so the big one was, and there was a ton of starvation. Well, it's going to be so much worse now because the populations. And here's how whacked out the elite are. Look at this. This is an insane DC dinner for people who spent $85,000. I mean, who spends that much money shopping on crap? And here's how whacked out it is in England. Here's some guys, hey, stamp out child abuse, justice for all victims. Amen! Oh, but they're complaining and they're trying to put this down. This is a Pakistani area up there in Yorkshire. I mean, this is crazy what is going on and what's being allowed by our elite. And wait till you see this thing we got from Cameron. It's coming up here pretty soon. Fort Hood tells his soldiers to stay away from the Tea Party and Christian groups. Yeah, or you might be court-martialed, buddy. And the UN just held a conference on press freedom, but no press was allowed. You see, they want to get rid of people like me, who are pointing out what a bunch of hypocrites, liars, scammers, disgusting people who most of them should be thrown in jail, Or let's ship all these guys, because there's not really that many of them. There's only a few thousand. And that's counting their higher management people. Because the actual elite are less than 100. A world government can intervene militarily in the internal affairs of any nation when it disapproves of their activities. Whoa! That's Kofi Annan, UN Secretary General. He was the previous one. Okay, this is where they're going. World government. Their message. Now, here's a couple of great shots that they didn't show, because both the left and the right are working to keep this going. These were some black men standing in front of the police saying, no, we're not going to have riots, trying to put a stop to this. And of course, the black mayor, who's nothing but a puppet, she allowed the looting. She forced the police to stand down and let them loot all of those poor people's little businesses. She should be going to jail. That nothing but a whore who sold her soul to be the mayor of Baltimore. This poor kid, mother tells him to go in and turn himself in, do the right thing, and then they throw a $500,000 bail on him. Why they let all these other guys just go and do nothing to them. And here's a mother getting out there. She realized who her son was, and she said, hey, boy, wake up. This is the kind of people we need to be promoting. People who are going, it's time to take back our families, not listen to this garbage that's being promoted, and say, hey, it's time to wake up and time to act right. Wake up to who the real problem is. Wake up to the people who are really causing this problem. Smell the roses, follow the money. And here's Cameron, he just got reelected. Look at this quote. For too long, we have been a passively tolerant society, saying to our citizens, as long as you obey the law, we will leave you alone. Remember the Magna Carta. We, the people, had to tell the losers who run the world, whether it's religious, who ended the sex scandal in the Catholic Church? The people did. Who are going to take care of what's going on now? The people. If you're waiting for our leaders to do something, hell is going to freeze over before that happens. They're going to do nothing. Take a look at the man behind the curtain. And that's the real problem with artificial intelligence. It's a field that I was working in. It's not that it's so bad, but it's who's really controlling how it is. They make it seem so vaunted because most people don't understand it and can't grasp it. So much energy has been suppressed. You say, well, Obama's trying to do that. No, he's not. I remember articles I did from a guy tried to go in and get some funding from him for his solar cell company to employ 100 Americans and build it here, and he wouldn't give them any money, so he went to China, and they got all the technology. And this is about a new one that just came out, obviously. It says record-breaking 22% efficiency. There's other types of energy that's being put down. But what did Obama do? The green president. He funded Solyndra for $500 million, and all they did was get a warehouse and put their name on the outside of it, and they absconded with the money, and of course, no one goes to jail. None of the banksters have gone to jail under Obama because that's who he's for. And no one knows what the hell's really going on. Very few people know that it was Bill Clinton. The reason they allowed the economy to be so good was so Clinton could get rid of the Glass-Steagall, which is something the bankers hated from the 30s because it was a 33-page bill that they couldn't get around that separated the banking system from the speculative side. And then 10 years later, boom, we had the collapse. They also got derivatives. You better learn what happened to what Iceland did, because if we don't stand up and tell them to go to hell, we're in for such a world of hurt. It's only a matter of how bad it's going to be. Oh, and this is their grants. I mean, they take most of this money and use it on themselves, and it's like about 15-20% goes to stuff. And I mean, what these guys get away with, and Soros, no one talks about this clown. He spent $33 million promoting unrest in Ferguson. This is a dude, and he was a Nazi sympathizer. He was involved in the Ukraine going down. You know, and the left blame the Koch brothers, but they never talk about Soros and what a bum this guy is. Yeah, here he is, $33 million bankrolling Ferguson. Here's some picture of the Ukrainian neo-Nazis crucifying a guy. I mean, that's who, I mean, it's like Jefferson said, a people who think that they can be ignorant, that they can live in a state of ignorance and in a state of civilization, they believe what never was and never will be. You gotta wake up. You gotta help to wake others up. It's not good enough. I mean, at the very least, you can tell people about this show. At the very least, you can send them to my website. But you really should go out, talk to your family. And you're not going to be able to wake them up. Everyone. Most people don't want to know. I mean, it's like Hitler said, fortunately for leaders, that their people are unwilling to think. Like another guy who from their side, I mean, Hitler's obviously not on my side, said that people would rather die than think. And he goes, and they do. And they do. And I know people in my own family who are dying, being killed by this system, and I try to help them and lay it out, and they don't want to know. They would rather die than think. Here's where we're involved all around the world with special ops. Here's what they're putting in our water, sodium fluoride. They just said, oh, we just reduced it again. Well, that's because, you see, it's an interesting thing. This is how bizarre it all is. One of the target organs is the teeth. See, and so they've been putting too much in it, and it fluoresces, gets these like white spots. And so they keep dialing it back, and that's just some of what's going on, some of what's in there. You never hear about that. Hell, people defend it. See, people don't want to admit that they've been conned. I was conned. I mean, I've shown you before. Oh, matter of fact, here it is. Let me get it. This was the last box of fluoridated toothpaste that I had. Let me see. I think I've got the. Well, here's the guy going through diet injections and injunctions. Here's Bertrand Russell. This is a book. I mean, they'll openly write books about it because they know that most people don't want to read it, won't read, and they especially won't read stuff that's not nice and fluffy or about vampires or something. But anyway, on the back of this was, this was Colgate, but Crest, all the fluoridated stuff has this little warning that says, yeah, if a child under 6 takes more than is used in brushing, eats more than is used in brushing, call the poison control. I mean, what? We can't, I mean, I now use toothpaste that doesn't have a poison warning on it. I would urge you, especially if you have family, children, and friends. Here's a 2-time Medal of Honor winner, War's a Racket. It is the only one international in scope. It is the only one in which the profits are reckoned in dollars and the losses in lives. There's nothing new about what's going on. And there's a real Peace Prize winner, Alexander Solzhenitsyn. A state of war serves as an excuse for domestic tyranny. Check some of these people out, from Solzhenitsyn, Smedley Butler, and this is what is so disgraceful. This is one of the reasons I do this. How we are harming children. Look at these poor little children. We're not over in Syria to help anybody. We're over there because they're not a part of the global banking system. They're one of the few countries in the world that are not a part of the global banking system. Could you even make a guess as to, in the year 2000, a couple of the other countries that weren't? How about Libya? What a hellhole Libya is now. Oh, but it was humanitarian. It was nothing. Get over it. They're liars. I don't care if it's Hannity and what's the bimbo's name? Kelly, or any of those other gals with the shorts up to their crotch and the fake blonde hair. I mean, Fox, if those gals are coloring their hair, yeah, right. And then the people on the left, they're so full of crap, but they all sprinkle a little truth in there because that's how it's done. I remember Madeleine Albright talking about all the little children killed in Iraq under Clinton, like 750,000. Well, that's just the cost of doing business. He was our guy. This is a disgrace, what goes on. It's a complete disgrace, what's going on in our world. And that's being kind, just saying that. And here's the boob who's in talking about, I mean, we fund ISIS. We trained ISIS. We give them weapons. This is a joke. Or Daesh, that's what the people over there call them. But of course, they use the same signs that Al-Qaeda used. Because at least they're a little more frugal with their money. Oh yeah, and the Jade Helm operation, the master of the human domain. You should, if you don't know about this, and this, more than likely, they're not going into more, but this is a psyop. I mean, one of my own deacons, I mean, he did something, I mean, the guy won't even talk to me. Oh, I want to talk to you, Tim. Right, sure you do. It took him months just to even look at a one-page thing where he knew it was just a quote from a pope. Oh, and there's a great quote from a pope, Pope Leo XIII, who is a great man, that Catholics were born for combat, and a fellow named Pope Benedict XVI, Cardinal Ratzinger, it's on my website, said it's our duty, if you're a Christian, to be protesting this eugenics operation that's going on, because that's what this overall thing is. Just like, it's literally written in stone down there. But master of the human domain. See, it's just right in our face what they're doing. And here's a military guy giving a talk on mastering the human domain. Almost no one watches this thing. I mean, there was only a few hundred people had watched this YouTube video. It's right out there. I mean, this isn't hidden. That's part of how the game has to be played. They have to tell you what they're going to do, and you have to let them do it to you. But woe unto you who want to be leaders. Or I know this one guy goes, well, you know, I just prefer to think the glass is half full. It is. Hey, every day I'm one day closer to the Lord, to seeing Him. But while I'm here, I'm going to try to do something. You know what our Lord said about lukewarm people. Our mother warned that things would be worse. And they're worse for the dude's own family. Don't worry about it. Be happy. Live in La La Land. Everything is okay. I mean, it's okay for me. So be quiet. Don't ruffle any feathers. You know, you might hurt the contributions. You make people upset. Oh, and see, this is one of the things that they're teaching. This is this Azalan, because they want to break up our country. As bad as and with all the faults of our country, we're way too powerful for this global system that they're trying to set up. And so, I mean, we showed you the FEMA districts and stuff, and the different blocks. And so they just go at this in a bunch of different ways. And so this is that thing that they're doing. And of course, they know that Texas are a lot of people that are still independent. See, that's like Iceland still has people that aren't completely neutered. And that's why they just stood up and told the bankers to go to hell, just like our politicians stood up and said, go to hell. And the bankers told Iceland, and they told our politicians the same thing. We're going to cause a depression. And our politicians bent over and said, well, go ahead and rape our country. And the people in Iceland said, no, guess what? We're going to throw you in jail. And we're going to throw some of our politicians in jail. But what happened here? No one went to jail. They all became rich. Why don't you take a look at Pelosi's bottom line? Why don't you take a look at all of their bottom lines? Democrat and Republican. Because they own both sides. Oh, and this is just a thing. Remember, the U.S. repeals the propaganda ban so the government can spread government-made news to America. Just a couple of articles. So, I mean, it's all out there. This isn't like made up. And here's the CIA director. This guy was a bag of pus. We'll know our disinformation program. I mean, because it's not like they just started. You know, they got caught doing it under Bush for billions of dollars. And this guy's from a long time ago, obviously. He's been dead for a while. It's too late to pray for his soul. I wouldn't want to be in his place. Hopefully he repented before he died. But yeah, see, we'll know that our disinformation program is complete when everything the American public believes is false. That's why even when the truth would be better for what they're trying to do, they lie about everything so that this is a psyop. This is scientific, technological elite. I mean, just like Eisenhower warned us. These guys are master manipulators. I mean, this is real. This is real, unfortunately. And, I mean, I've shown the quotes before. I've got the book is right over here, but where they talk about it, I mean, this is, Clinton mentions, this is a professor from Georgetown University. That's a Catholic university in Washington, D.C. And he just lays out that, yeah, I studied their papers for a couple years, and yeah, they're setting up a global bank, and you know, in Basel, Switzerland, the Bank of Settlements, and yeah, I think it's a great thing. And that's his little boy, not his. I mean, these are just, you know, Clinton's just a high-level operative. Speaking the truth in deceitful times is a revolutionary act. From 1984. If you can't see that unfolding, I mean, you've never watched this show then, and you're not watching it anymore. Let me issue and control a nation's money, and I care not who writes its laws. Mayor Rothschild. That was spoken, I don't know, maybe like 120, 130 years ago, or more, back in the 1800s. And they, I mean, let's face it, it's legalized counterfeiting. That's what's going on. And here we have it. It's a great picture of Boehner and Pelosi. I mean, you know. And there's the Saudis. They don't care about us. Hey, dude, we got the oil. Hey, they want to take my picture. I'm waving at them. Who are you? You're just our little boy. You know, we know who you are. You're bought and paid for. We're starting to take over now. And the 5 major banks pled guilty to rigging the currency markets. Did anybody go to jail? No. What did they do? Oh, they fined them. Yeah, okay. You took $100. Why don't you give us $1.50? Huh? Oh, is that too much? Okay, just make it $1. Okay? Just give us $1. You get to keep $99. Just give us $1. And of course, that'll go into the government. And of course, we're left with the bone. Because they're going to try to put all this debt on us, the derivatives. I mean, we could never pay back all this money. And the very people who did all this, the Pelosi's, the Boehners, the Bushes, the Clintons, the Obamas, they're going to say, hey, we can save you. Just give us more power. Just let us stick a chip in you. They're going to blow something up in this country and blame it on ISIS or they'll blame it on the Tea Party, or they'll blame it on people who have guns, or, because, yeah, that's who it is. Anybody who says 2 plus 2 is 4, you're the enemy. It's like Karl Rove said, I create reality. Look it up. Hey, this is a sure sign of, this is money velocity. I was moving around. Take a look at what we got. So you can see how it went up in the late 90s. So that everything was really good. So that, and then with Clinton in there, they were able to get rid of Glass-Steagall and set up this phony derivative market and credit default swap market. That all started, I've got a great documentary on that. And Brooksley Bourne was the gal who was fighting it, like almost all by herself, with all the scum. But look at where it's trending. It's trending down. I mean, I hope you're getting ready. I mean, here's fastest drop ever. There's that last big one. What's that? That's the last recession there 7 years ago. I've told you about the Shemitah and the blood moons. And what? God should be happy with what we've done in the last 7 years? Just turning away from, slapping him in the face. And here's how much in La La Land things are going. See, this top one is from back in 2008, 2009. See, it's a lot closer. But here, we're getting into complete La La Land. And the macro numbers are way down here. But the S&P, I mean, there's going to be a pop in stocks, baby. And I've done stories like where these food trucks are worth hundreds of millions of dollars. I mean, it's just so bizarre. But hey, they just signed on, and our two senators signed on to this because they go, well, we got this international investment thing. It'll be good for us. Who are you kidding? Let me show you a number. There's a number coming up. But this is a TPP. I've done tons of stuff about this. The United States is an economic basket case. Washington has given away the U.S. economy to Asian countries with lower labor costs. The fabled American economy is no more. Paul Craig Roberts, he was an economic advisor, and they didn't do a good job under Reagan. But I'll give Paul some credit. Lately, he has been coming out in the last 5-10 years and exposing the truth. And he was totally against Bush and stuff, so it's not like just because he's Obama. But look at these numbers now. This is manufacturing jobs. It peaked in 1979. But see, there's something even more important to know about. This is not per capita. This is just total manufacturing jobs, okay? So look at where they are now. But our population from 1979 is so much huger. So as a percent of the working population, it's gone down even farther. And Bush crashed it. I remember when that piece of garbage came out and said, oh yeah, making burgers at McDonald's is a manufacturing job. And they're going to make robots to make burgers. We've done articles on that. And if there was any doubt that these people sleep together, I mean, the Republicans have come back into power because the Democrats have been such scum, and of course the Democrats got in because the Republicans were such scum. I mean, like the whole border thing and immigration. Okay, so it's after 9/11. We've been hit by the fake terrorists, if you want to believe they're the baloney story. But let's say you want to do that. Okay? The Republicans had the presidency, the Congress, and the Senate, and they couldn't close the border. I mean, what? It's too complicated to enforce the border? And now they're making it like this big fight. The border is like wide open. And we get these Catholics who go there and they do masses at a border fence. Well, hell, why don't you go 5 miles down the road where there's no damn fence at all? I mean, there's so many sellouts in the church. A bunch of fake liberals who never go to the heart, never go after the money changers because they sleep with the money changers. But anyway, so it's interesting. Now the Democrats have been able to back off and they're letting the Republicans, oh yeah, hey Obama, we'll help you. And of course you can't read this trade deal because, you know, it was written by lobbyists for big business. It's fascism. It's not socialism. Okay? Obama's not a socialist. He's a commie or a fascist. And the money changers, if you want to go all the way back, they set up communism. That's history. The money changers funded the Bolshevik Revolution, funded Hitler, funded Mao. They own our country. They caused the Depression. And we've gone into that, of course, many times. And he's happy. And it's not, because look, they give him 6 years worth of trade promotion authority. I mean, what good is the Congress? Well, we got to go there and we got to act important, you know, and I'm Patty Murray, and, you know, I got my tennis shoes and I run around and man, I got a great retirement and of course we're not in Obamacare, you know, we have our own health system, you know, because we're better than you. You know, just shut up. I'm Patty Murray. You should be thankful that I'm your senator. Or Maria can't vote well. She's a little bit better than Patty Murray. Patty Murray's like, whoo. Anyway, here's the housing bubble coming up in Canada. It just shows some of the lunacy. This is a good graph on, so for recovery, see that's at the peak there. See, we're so much worse off now than we were 7 years ago. If you look at any of the numbers, and a lot of people have not been getting ready. So when it goes down, see, and they're buying, companies are making themselves look better by buybacks. Oh, that's the same thing that happened before the last collapse. Whoa, think we might be in for another one? Well, I don't know. You know, look, only new orders in U.S. manufacturing. Only one of the past 7 months has been positive. Here's another graph, year-to-year chain store sales. I mean, you know, like what numbers are looking good here? Here's wholesale trade. That's the last collapse. Here's this one, down to 101. So, well, don't worry about it. Buy stocks. False flag operations, nothing new. That's how the world has always worked. Robert David Steele, he's a former CIA operative, says every single terrorist attack in the U.S. was a false flag attack. And of course, we've done stuff on that, but hey, the government wouldn't lie to you. Come on, it wouldn't lie to you. The military-industrial complex, here's how it works. Everybody's getting greased, bakshish. You know, keep that dough flowing, baby. You know, we're in trouble. And, of course, the 9/11 fable. This is Building 7. Nothing hit it, but it just fell down about 5:20 in the afternoon. Because buildings fall down, you know. It was worried, you know, the 2 trade towers fell down, and there's tons of stuff about that. But hey, over 500 feet tall, 47 stories. Whole bunch of investigations got wiped out because I believe the SEC had some major offices in there. You know, stuff, it's so crazy. Here's some guys who've really put their lives on the line too. Architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth, over 2,000 now, are just calling for another investigation that says 2 + 2 is 4. Because, you know, the official story, and I've showed that book before, it doesn't even mention Building 7, what happened to it. And then, of course, we had to point out that, hey, guys, what about this 500-foot tall building that fell down on 9/11 that nothing hit. And it looked just like a controlled demolition. And we have the firefighters and the policemen saying, get back, this building's about to come down. You can't wire a building in a couple hours. That's what I'm saying. People hate the truth. Give me comfortable lies. The fake left-right paradigm. Get out of it, my friends. Get out of it. Help others to wake up to it. There's more RFID news. Man, it's coming all the time. Remember that attractive young gal from Sweden getting it in her hand? I mean, oh, it's so modern. It's so 2015. And there's tons of stuff about getting rid of cash. Here's just one of the articles. Are human microchips in our future? No, they're not in mine. But they are in most people's. They're not putting one of those in me. Or I'll take it out. They're going to have to forcibly put it in me. And then I'll take it out myself. And been warning you, they've been after cash for a while. That's going to be another huge sign, man. When they get rid of cash, then they're going to have complete control of money. Just like that, they can turn it off and turn it on. This is not going to be pretty. Take a look outside the frying pan, my friend. The heat is getting up. The take-home message about 9/11 is that it was the anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi's very first protest. We must be the change that we wish to see in the world. This is a revolution of love, not of hate. And of course, the other side will call it hate, because that's doublespeak. Good is called evil, evil is called good. Seek the truth and bear witness to it. This will end the sacrifice of children on the altar of lust and convenience. Jesus sees what's happening. The more that he has to get involved, because he's given us all the graces. It's all laid out. We just have to stand up and do something. Prayer and fasting can change the world. It can stop wars. And it has lessened what is coming. And the rosary is one of the most powerful prayers. One thing you can do is tell people to go to my website. Infowars.com is another one. There's going to be changes coming. My show will be moving to Thursday because they're going to have a live format. And they said the only time it all worked out was the Monday. So in a couple of weeks, my show will be moving to Thursday. But I'll let you know about that. And remember what my Sioux brothers say, Matakawe we seen, we are all related. So go out this week, wake someone up, and may God bless you and your family. Goodbye.